I have witnessed this personally. I've been in Dubai, and by chance one day I saw the paycheck sequence to Indians and people from Bangladesh slaving away, with all respect to Dubai, building the construction sites. They got to get that money back home, and they can't do it through banks, can they?
There are many challenges for people who want to remit money home and to find ways that they can do it cost efficiently, safely, and that will actually reach their family members. And so what we're advocating, along with the Bill and Melinda Gates and the World Bank, and this report was authored by the World Bank, is to say, let's look at how we can digitize payments and so include all those workers across the world in the formal financial system.
Do banks, whether JP Morgan or the Standard Chartered Bank, do they run from this discussion?
There's a huge business opportunity. If we look at the G20 countries, because this report was addressed at G20, there are 1.4 billion people who are excluded. And so if you look at ways that they can be included, it's a new business model. It's a high volume, low margin business.
But how have the banks responded to this?
Well, for example, in Mexico, we did a study with the Mexican government. Okay. Instead of putting floats with the banks, they're saving money by putting it directly to their clients. But then the banks have a new business opportunity, because once individuals have accounts, then remittances go into it, transfers go into it. So it's a new business opportunity.
I was floored on this, Scarlett.
When you were in Dubai?
No, 10 years ago, the size of remittances.
Yes, and it's only growing, of course, because as the world gets more internationally connected. You call on governments, you put the onus on the governments of these developing nations to take a leading role in adopting digital payments. Of those who have, I guess this is kind of a best practices question, what prompted their willingness to invest the necessary time and resources?
Yes, we're calling on G20 governments in particular, because that's 85% of the economy. And as you rightly said, the remittance market is over 500 billion, so that's a massive market.
Sure.
And so the opportunities are worth the investment, because it builds the financial system, as we know, is critical to economic growth. And so it's good for the governments.
Who's led the way so far?
The G20 countries, I mean, obviously the large economies in Western Europe, but also the emerging economies, Brazil, Mexico, Indonesia, they're all looking at this opportunity.
Well, and that's what I want to ask you, Dr. Goodwin-Groen. Is this really more of an emerging markets or emerging countries issue as opposed to a G7 one?
Good question. That the emerging markets in the G20 economies, as I mentioned, Mexico, Brazil, Indonesia, are looking at this as a really great way of expanding their economies. Because if you think about it, in Indonesia, it's growing at approximately 6%. There's 250 million people there, and there are only about a quarter that are actually included in the formal financial system. So there's a real opportunity. Is
there an application, perhaps, for, as we talk about immigration, illegal immigrants here in the U.S. to effectively move money more easily back and forth?
We're focusing on the opportunities within G20 economies, and we're saying if you can include people in the formal financial system, then you create ways that they can invest, they can save. As we know, financial intermediation is critical, and so you create opportunities for everybody.
But does this help illegal immigrants here in the U.S., potentially?
I can't comment on illegal immigration in the U.S., but what I can comment on is that if we're able to look at how to include people in the formal financial system, then you have a more transparent system. There's a digital footprint, so you can track it. And so it's good for transparency.
Dr. Dr. Ruth Goodwin-Groen with us with the Better Than Cash Alliance on digital payments.
It's a good topic, given that Apple's launching new products tomorrow, and among them is this iWallet.
The iWallet, where in theory you're able to walk in and swipe your phone across a kiosk, and
the headline number there to me is 1.4 billion people need it.